morning, everyone, and welcome back. Michelle and I would love to know how your March break is going. Please type in the chat. Let me know something fun you have done or planning to do this week. We've been together all week long and I haven't heard. So I would love to hear. So for those of you who don't know me or just joining us for the first time, my name is Alicia and I work here at Sheridan. We are very excited to have Sheridan graduate Michelle John, Fire Life Safety Education Officer for the City of Brampton with us today. Michelle received the 2021 Premier's Award for invaluable service to the community as Brampton's Fire Life Safety Education Officer. She goes above and beyond her job requirements to reach out to Brampton's diverse community to ensure their safety. She organizes information sessions in public spaces such as malls and community centers and visits schools, senior homes, and residents to create awareness about fire safety. She is held in high regard by her supervisors and colleagues for her work to help the community. She's a role model for women and visible minorities who aspire to similar leadership positions in the community. So today, Michelle will be teaching you about the importance of being fire safe and how to implement the basics of fire prevention, detection, and home escape planning. If you have any questions or comments for Michelle during this session, you can type them in the chat box on the right-hand side at any time. So let's get started. Hi, Michelle. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, Alicia, and good morning, my March break friends. Thank you so much for joining us today and to learn about fire safety. I'm so impressed that all of you are taking time out of your March break to learn about this topic. And I got to commend you guys. It is a very important topic to learn about. So we're going to just jump right in and just start talking about things that can burn if they're too close to things that get hot. So, in order to have a fire, you need to have three ingredients. You need to have heat, which is like the stove in your house, like a hot light bulb or maybe a heater, a fireplace. Those are stuff that gets really hot. So, that's your heat. And you need to have something that can burn, which is your fuel. So, your fuel could be your clothes, could be paper. It could even be your hair, which is pretty bad. We don't want that. So, heat, fuel, and the third thing that you need to have is oxygen. And oxygen is all around us. So, in order to have a fuel, these three things must be present so that a fire can start. Now, we'd want to keep away from starting a fire, don't we? Of course, we do. So, in your home, I'm going to ask you guys to be like my little detectives. You're going to go around your house after today and you're going to look for those things that are hot, close to things that can burn. That is a very important rule that I want you guys to always remember and follow. So, we're going to start off with watching a really cool video. It's Timon and Pumbaa. I hope you guys don't mind. Who doesn't like Timon and Pumbaa? Alicia and I were talking about. I love Timon and Pumbaa, and they have a very, very important message for you guys to learn today. So, without any more delay, let me put on Timon and Pumbaa. Hang on a quick second. Let me see. Is this what's? Nope. I'm going to do this share. Oh, hang on a second. There's a screen playing. Okay, hang on. Let me try this now. There we go. Much better. Dum, dum, dum.
Safety spot, no doubt about it. Safety spot, can't do without it. It's really so important that you won't stop shouting. Gotta get safety spot, oh yeah. You gotta get safety spot, that means you. You gotta get safety, gotta get safety, gotta get safety spot, oh yeah. the king. That's right, I'm the king. Oh, the smoke alarm. Timon, wake up. Would you turn that thing off, Pumbaa? How am I supposed to sleep with that racket going on? Come on, Timon, get up. That's the smoke alarm. Smoke alarm? Fire! Quick, save yourself! On second thought, save me! Every bear cat for himself. Timon, don't panic. Oh, the batteries in the smoke alarm are low, and that's why it's making that sound. You mean our house isn't on fire? No, and if this had been a fire, we wouldn't have been prepared. First off, this smoke alarm needs a new battery. You can ask an adult to help change the batteries in smoke alarms twice a year. That's safety smart. Now you know what we should do? Have a little snack and go back to bed. No. We need to test the smoke alarm weekly. Okay, let's get back to sleep now. Hey, nice blackboard. We really need to know fire safety. Now, draw a big triangle. If we really want to understand fire, we have to start with the fire triangle. For fire to burn, it needs three things. Oxygen, like in the air around us. Fire also needs fuel. Fuel is anything that can burn like wood and the gas in the grill. And fire needs heat. The fire triangle. Oxygen, fuel, and heat. Hey, I thought fire made heat. Uh-huh. Wait a minute. There's oxygen around us right now, isn't there? And there's heat here in the jungle, right? And with you around, there's more than our share of gas. And your point is? So how come we're not on fire? We've got all three, right? The whole fire triangle. Oxygen, heat, and fuel. Well, even though some fires can start quite easily, they all need a spark or other ignition source. That's why we should never play with matches or lighters, and adults should always keep them out of reach of children. That's being safety smart. Well, that was informative as usual, Pumbaa. But I believe there's still some quality napping to be done. Not so fast, Timon. We've only just begun learning about fire safety. But Pumbaa, I already know that fire is dangerous. Besides fire, smoke is dangerous too. Did you know smoke is poison? Poison? That's right, Timon. If we breathe in smoke, we'll choke. Check this out, Pumbaa. Breathe in smoke, and we're gonna choke. It's a nifty rhyme, don't you think? Yeah, and a good way to remember it, too. So that's why it's so important to have equipment like smoke alarms, sprinklers, and fire extinguishers. Where did that come from? You can ask an adult to show you where every fire extinguisher is in your home. In addition, every home should have several smoke alarms, one outside each bedroom, and on every level, too. When they detect smoke, they make a loud noise to get your attention. So when you hear a smoke alarm, what should you do? Cover your ears. No! If a smoke alarm goes off, you need to get out of wherever you are. But there's one other thing to know first. I know, Pygmy. Gather up all your favorite belongings, right? Wrong. There's no time for that. Smoke is lighter than air, so it fills a room from the top down. If you're in a room and you see smoke, you need to get down, get out, and stay out. Wait a minute. I think I know that song. Get down, get out, stay out. Get down, get out, stay out. Smoke up there, get down, take care. Get down, get out, stay out. Smoke alarms are lifesavers, so be sure to ask an adult to test them every week. Okay, it's time for some serious snapping. Not so fast, Sleeping Beauty. We need to make a better escape plan. You can make an escape plan with your family. On a piece of paper, mark 2 ways out of every room. The door and maybe a window. So what if you don't live on the ground floor and you're high up? You can have a portable ladder nearby, or in an apartment building, there are fire escapes. But what if you're not at home when a fire alarm goes goes off?
Well, move quickly to the nearest exit. Don't push anybody. Go right to the planned meeting place, then listen for your instructions and stay calm. You know, Timon, we should practice our own fire escape plan. One thing before we try it, though. Once outside, it's important to have a family meeting place to make sure everybody got out safely. You can mark your meeting place right on your escape plan, so it's easy to remember where it is.
Okay, where is ours?
Oh, how about by the big tree?
Pumbaa, we live in the jungle. Could you maybe be a little more specific?
Sorry. How about the tree with the hammock?
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Alarm! Oh, come on! That's the sound of the smoke alarm.
Are you kidding me? Alarm?
Why, do you think you can do better? Go right ahead. Okay, let's head to the exit. If you notice there's smoke in the room, it's a good idea to crawl on your hands and knees. Get down, get out, stay out. Get down, get out, stay out. Get down, get out, stay out. Wait, come on, feel the door. If it's hot, there might be a fire behind it, which means it's not safe to exit.
Okay, it feels cool. Let's go.
Also, it's important to keep the doorway clear so we can make a safe exit. Okay, we're safely in our family meeting place, but there's one more thing we have to do.
And what's that?
Call 911.
911!
On the telephone, Timon. Give the operator your name, address, and phone number. And remember, only call if there's a real emergency.
Oh, you mean 911 in the U.S. or Canada, 111 in New Zealand, 112 in Denmark, 112 or 999 in the UK or Ireland.
How about Australia?
000.
How about if everyone knows their own emergency numbers?
You know, I have to admit, Pumbaa, even though I complain about learning to be safety smart, I'm always glad when we do.
Me too, Timon, me too.
It sure is beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, sirree. But fires can start anywhere, Timon. In cities, in the country, in forests. So remember, be safety smart. One careless match, and this whole place could be destroyed. Never play with matches, and remember, an adult can use water to remove heat and put a fire out. In our fire triangle, oxygen, fuel, and heat. If one of these things is removed, the fire goes out. If we follow all these safety rules, we'll help make sure fires don't start.
Oh, I'll be careful, Pumbaa. I'd hate to see anything happen to our beautiful home, inside or out.
Me too. So, Timon, are you getting any ideas for what we could do next?
Nope, not a thing.
Maybe review all that we've learned in a particular musical way?
I don't know what you're talking about, pal.
Oh, I was thinking we could review all we learned in a song.
Oh, yeah.
Fire safety, fire safety.
Show the world what smarts you got.
Fire safety, fire safety. Telling you the topic is hot, hot, hot. Fire safety, fire safety.
Let's review the things we know.
Fire safety, fire safety. On your mark, ready, get set, let's go.
When you face that combination of oxygen, heat, and fuel.
You should take this spot, my friend, and follow each and every rule. That's oh yeah. Fire safety, fire safety.
Let's review the things we've learned.
Fire safety, fire safety. Know your fire safety and you won't get burned.
A fire needs a spark to start a flame.
So never play with matches, they're not a game.
Got a fire extinguisher?
Yes, sirree.
How about a smoke
Or
alarm?
2 or 3.
Smoke goes up a room, a plan will show the way out.
Then get down, get out, and stay out.
When you're safe out
soon smoke it. I'm telling you.
Okay, my friends. So you learn a lot about fire safety and why it's so important that you practice fire safety. Remember, if we have the fire triangle, then we know exactly how we can have a fire. Now, in your homes, they talked about having a smoke alarm. And smoke alarms, boys and girls, it's a very important thing that we must have in our home. And so I'm going to answer some of the questions later about 911 and when to call. Now, smoke alarms are very, very important. You need to have one on every level of your home. So one needs to be outside your bedrooms, one needs to be on the main floor, and one needs to be in the basement. And smoke alarms, boys and girls, they are good for 10 years. That means every 10 years, your mom and dad would need to get a new alarm. But how do you know if your alarm is working? Because as you can see, Timon and Pumbaa showed how very important these alarms are. So how do you know if it's working? Well, there is a test button that you would need to push every month. And when you hear that sound, you know that your smoke alarm is working. Now, you guys have a job to do. I'm going to give you the job of reminding your parents every month. That's right, from January all the way to December. It's your job. Pick a day in the month. Maybe it could be the 15th of every month, or maybe it's the 1st of every month that you will pick that day and say, Mom and Dad, we need to test our smoke alarms. Because, boys and girls, if our smoke alarms aren't working, then you wouldn't know the first moment that there is a fire. Now, how long does it ring for? Someone is asking. Not for long. It's just a little, and that's it. That's all that you need to do to test it to make sure that it's working. Now, it means that it's on the ceiling. And how do you think you're going to reach up to the ceiling? Any guess? Let's think. Well, I'm not that tall that I can reach all the way up to the ceiling, but you do have brooms in your home, and you can use the handle of the broom to reach up and to push the button to make sure that it works. Now, how often do you think that we should change the batteries? Any guesses? Well, someone is saying a ladder. Well, if you have a ladder and you can use it safely, then we can use the ladder, but only when someone is there. Not you, but the adult. Exactly, mom and dad. And someone is asking a question about fire extinguishers, and I will answer that a little bit later too as well. So your mom and dad, they can use the ladder, or safer than that, they can use the broomstick. Now, how do we know when to change the batteries? Every year. Every year we need to change the batteries to make sure that the alarm is working. But what if you have an electric alarm? When do you think that should be changed? Every 10 years as well, if you have an electrical alarm. And if you have a battery alarm, every 10 years. How often do you change the battery? Every year we change the battery. We just simply open the back of the alarm, and we change the battery. Now, boys and girls, what if the alarm is making too much noise? Your mom or dad are making that wonderful dinner. They've opened the oven and beep goes the alarm. Do you think it would be a safe thing for them to take the alarm down and put it on a table? I don't think so, boys and girls. It is never a safe thing to take an alarm down from the ceiling unless you are changing the batteries or changing the alarm. Because our alarms, the first moment it smells smoke, it lets you know that there is a fire. Now, the other type of an alarm that you need to have in your home is a carbon monoxide alarm. Now, can everyone see this number 0? Yeah, can you see, Jack? You're saying no. Can you see the number 0? Okay, so that number 0 tells you that there is no carbon monoxide in the home. This carbon monoxide is a very dangerous gas. It is something that you cannot see, you cannot smell it, nor can you taste it. Now, our carbon monoxide alarms need to be tested as well every month. So you push the test button and you hear that beep sound, and then it's going to sound again. Now, did you notice that the sound got even louder the second time around? Yeah. Now, notice that you will see these three numbers, 8, 8, and 8. And that means that it's just testing and it's going to reset itself and then go back to 0. Now, 0 means no carbon monoxide in your home. But where would you put this type of an alarm? Would you put it downstairs by the furnace? Or on the main floor only? Or should it be beside your bedrooms? What do you guys think? Beside the bedrooms? You can talk in the chat. You can let me know what you think. I think it should be beside the bedrooms. As a matter of fact, boys and girls, it is the law. The law says that we need to have working carbon monoxide alarms right beside the bedrooms. Now, someone is asking, should it be by the furnace? You can have it by the furnace, but it needs to be beside your bedrooms as well. So you can have one by the furnace or one by your bedrooms. Now, the reason why it's important beside the bedroom, it's because you want to be able to hear the carbon monoxide alarm going off. If it's all the way downstairs by the furnace and you're sleeping all the way upstairs, you will not be able to hear it at all. Now, back in 2014, we actually had 3 people who lost their lives because they breathe in carbon monoxide. And their alarm, only one that they had, was all the way downstairs beside the furnace. Now, let's picture this. In the mornings, do any of you have your mom and dad wake you up to go to school? Yeah, I did. And sometimes my mom still calls to wake me up. I got to admit that. But if your mom and dad is calling you from all the way in the basement and you're all the way upstairs, you would not be able to hear them. So it's really important. And also it's the law that you have your carbon monoxide alarm right beside the bedrooms in the hallway. Now, we talked about smoke alarms and carbon monoxide. Now, carbon monoxide does come in different shapes. So this is one shape. Here is another shape. And look at this. Here is another shape. Now, this sort of looks like a smoke alarm. Do you agree? Yep, it does. Now, this is actually called a combination alarm, which means it's a smoke alarm and a carbon monoxide alarm together in one. And this alarm goes on the ceiling. Now, if you have a standalone carbon monoxide alarm, you can sit it on a table, or you could even plug it in a plug that's lower to the floor, or you can sit it up high. It doesn't matter what height you put this, just that it's important where you put it, and that should be beside your bedrooms. Now, when I first started off our presentation, I spoke about the things in your home that can burn and the things that get hot. So tonight, along with you going around your house and being a little detective and finding those things that can burn close to those things that get hot, I also have another job for you. Yes, I do. Your job is to go around and to count how many smoke alarms you have in your home. It is important. Remember, boys and girls, where should it be? One upstairs by the bedroom, one on the main floor, and one in the basement. That's at least 3. But what if you live in an apartment building? In your apartment, you would only have one smoke alarm, most likely. Some people may choose to have more. So there are other things in your home that can cause a fire. Do any of you know what this is? You're like, Officer Michelle, that, of course, is a lighter. A lighter is something that adults use, not for kids. This is not something that you should ever touch. One of my friends says they have 4 smoke alarms, and one is asking, what if you have 3? Well, if you have 3 and they're one on each level of your home, then that's a good thing. If you have more than 3 in your home, perfect. I think I have 5. Perfect. This is where you guys get to go around and you get to be detectives, smoke alarm detectives as you find them, and your carbon monoxide alarms too as well. So back to this device. This is a lighter, and lighters are not toys for children. They are actually tools for an adult. I have been to schools where kids have brought lighters into the school to, well, they want to impress their friends, and they've brought these lighters in, or even something smaller than this, and they have played with it and started fires in their bathroom, in the bathroom at school. And it is a very dangerous thing, boys and girls. Do not ever play with lighters. Lighters are not toys for children. They are tools only for adults, not for little kids. So, what other things do you think can catch fire in your home or could start a fire? Let's see. I'm going to hold this up. This is a candle, but it's not your regular candle. It is a battery operated candle. Battery operated candles are much safer than real candles. Do any of you have real candles in your home? Your parents use real candles? Well, if they do, I want you to tell them that when they're using the real candles, before they leave the room, they have to blow it out before they leave the room. Not you guys, only the adults. But what about those candles, Officer Michelle, on your birthday cake? What do I do? Well, if when you have your candles on your birthday cake, if you have really long hair, I'm going to ask you to hold your hair back so it does not get into the candles. And if you're wearing like a hoodie that has strings on it, remember to tie up those strings because we don't want those strings to get into the candle. Now, remember I said at the beginning that even people can get burned, even our clothes can get burned. So it's really important that we keep those things that can burn away from things that get hot. Now, I want to show you something else that also can start a fire. How many of you have cell phones? Or maybe you might have a tablet, or I don't know. Do they still have iPads? They used to, but maybe it's just one big iPad or maybe a big tablet of some sort. But you have something. I know you guys do. Now, when you are charging your iPads or your tablets or your cell phones or maybe even your laptops, be very careful. The laptops and chargers and cell phones, those things get very, very hot. Do you think that we'll be breaking that safety rule if we put those things that get hot close to things that get burnt? Yep. Someone is saying I have a PS4 and 2 iPads. Oh, very good. Now, it's wonderful to have those things, boys and girls, but you need to be safe and use it safely because fires can happen to anyone and anywhere. Isn't that what Timon and Pumbaa said? Now, look at this cord, and you guys tell me if you think this is the safest thing that we should use. What do you guys think? Safe? Not safe at all. Yeah. And how many of us have things that look like this? and we still use it. That is very unsafe. So I am going to encourage you guys, when you get home, take a look and see if you have anything that look like this. And if you do, get rid of it, because anything that looks like this can easily start a fire. Now, where should you charge your devices? Should you put it on the bed? Oh, my parents have one that looks like it, but we don't use it. Good, Sabrina. I'm glad that you don't use it. And you can tell your parents they need to get rid of it, because you don't want someone to accidentally use it, right? Now, my friends, do you charge your devices on the bed? Hmm. Now, is that a safe spot to charge it? No, it's not a safe spot at all, because remember, those devices get so hot. And if they're close to something that can burn, like your sheets or your bed or even your clothes, they can catch on fire. So we want to make sure that you don't have anything close to that. Now, someone said that my mom put electrical tape. Is it regular tape or electrical tape that she put on here? The safest thing, boys and girls, I know sometimes parents do put tapes on these, but the safest thing is that you should always get rid of it, because you don't want a spark to start. A little spark can cause a big fire. I believe that's what Timon and Pumbaa was sharing. A little spark can start a very big fire. So things like these are not safe for you to have in your home. Now, how many of my friends cook? How many of my friends on here cook? Do any of you cook alone, or do you cook with your parents? Okay, now because you guys sound really young, I think you're between 6 and 12, I think that you most likely would be cooking with your parents instead of by yourself. Now, did you know that the number one cause of fires, even though I showed you guys the candle, even though I showed you the lighter that little kids should never play with or touch, if you find one of these, let an adult know. And even though I showed you guys this, there's something else that can start a fire, and it's the number one cause, and that is unattended cooking. I know that's a pretty big word. Unattended cooking. So what does unattended cooking mean, Officer Michelle? What does it mean? What it means, boys and girls, is that when somebody is cooking, they walk away from the kitchen and their eyes are not looking at what they're cooking. Now, I have something in front of me. This, by the way, it is not a real fire. I just want to let you guys know, but it's a prop. Now, sometimes adults walk away from their kitchen and they come back and they see something like this. How do we prevent this from happening? How do we prevent a fire like this from happening? Do you know how? Well, how we prevent that from happening is that we stay in the kitchen. Only an adult should be supervising you when you're cooking. And always remember to stay in the kitchen. If your mom and dad they're cooking and they have left the kitchen and they're off doing laundry, because sometimes adults, we're busy. There's so many things to do, right? So if they're off doing something else and the stove is on, can you remind the adults? Again, boys and girls, I know I'm giving you a lot of work to do, but I know that you're up to it. Remind the adult to stay in the kitchen or to turn off the stove. And when they get back, they can turn the stove back on. It is so important, boys and girls, that an adult stays in the kitchen when they're cooking. It is the number one cause of fires in the home. Can I tell you guys a story? Well, this has happened in my home. So last year on May 24th, Victoria Day, I actually had a fire in my home. And it happened because my oldest son, he's in his 20s. He's not little like you guys, but he's much older. He was making homemade chicken wings and he was frying it in a pan. And remember, we need to have three things to have a fire. Can you tell me what those three things are? Can you put it in the chat? What would be the first thing? Who can name the first thing? Let me see who's going to be the first person to name the first thing. The first ingredient that we need to have a fire, at least one of the ingredients. What do you think it is? Okay. Well, we had oil. Oil is considered fuel. We had, oxygen. Thank you, Patricia. We had oxygen. And finally, we had oxygen, fuel, and what's the last thing? Heat. Thank you, Jack. Heat. So we had all three of those things together. So what happened to cause the fire, Officer Michelle? Well, while he was cooking, he decided to step away from the kitchen. He turned off the stove, but he left the pan with the oil on top of the stove. And the heat from the stove was so hot that oil just caught fire, and the oxygen, the air coming down from the fan above the stove, those three things together caused a fire. And immediately, boys and girls, I told my family that we needed to get out. Now, do you think that would have been a good time for me to look around for anything when there's a fire? Do you think so? No. But some of you have pets, right? Do some of you have pets? Someone is saying, but how? He turned the stove off. Well, what happened is that even though he turned off the stove itself, the burner was so hot that it still kept the heat, and the heat together with the oil and the air caused the fire to happen. Even though he turned the stove off, the stove was not cool. What he should have done, boys and girls, was to move the pan over to another burner. Do you think he should have moved the pan off the stove? No, he could have just moved it to another burner. Do you know what? Sometimes what adults do when a fire like that is happening, they move the pan. I have actually heard of people moving the pan and walking through their house with the pan. And what happens next? They catch other things on fire and they themselves get burnt. I've even heard of adults throwing their burning pan into the garage. What do we have in the garage? Cars and lots of other stuff. So boys and girls, it's never ever safe to move a pan. Oh, before I go into the pets, I see some of you have no pets, some of you have bunnies, fish. Very nice. What a selection here. A variety of pets. So sometimes what adults do too, boys and girls, if they're cooking with oil and the oil catches on fire, they take water and they pour it on it. Dangerous. Never ever put water onto a grease fire. Never, because it's extremely dangerous. That fire will then become a big explosion and it can get worse really quickly. But so when the fire was happening, I told my family, let's get out. Now, do you think I had time to look around for anything? No, I didn't. Now, some of you had asked before about the fire extinguisher. If you have a fire extinguisher in the home, You mean being the adults. If the adult has a fire extinguisher in the home and they know how to use it, and the fire is really, really small, then they can. But they have to know how to use it first before they attempt to use it. Because guess what? If you don't know how to use it, you can make the fire spread across the ceiling. So we don't want that. We want to use it safely. Only if the adult knows how to use it and the fire is small and they've been trained. Now, I don't have any pets in my home, so we got out really quickly. Well, what if I had a pet? Do you think that I should be looking around for the pet? No, I should not be. I should get out quickly and let the firefighters go inside and get the pet. So Roseanne is asking, what do you do with an expired fire extinguisher? Okay, so Roseanne, what you would do with that expired fire extinguisher, it can be taken to a recycling depot in Brampton. There are two of them on opposite sides of the city, and that's where you can take those expired fire extinguishers. I hope that answers your question. So ask your parents can find out where there is the locations of those depots, and they can take the extinguishers there. Now, if you have a pet inside, you have a dog or cat, maybe they followed you out, or maybe they didn't. But if you went to look around for those pets, you would be overcome with smoke. Isn't that what Timon and Pumbaa told us? That smoke is very, very dangerous. If you went back inside to look for those pets, or maybe you stayed inside to look for those pets, it can be very, very dangerous. You need to get out quickly and let the firefighters go back inside to look for those pets. Firefighters are well equipped and dressed with the proper clothing that they can go inside, especially when they have their oxygen tank on, and they would not be able to breathe in that smoke. Now, I've got a quick story to tell you. Several years ago, there was a mom and dad doing some work in the basement. When the fire happened, the mom and dad got outside. But then the mom said, "Oh, I forgot my purse." Now, how many of you know that your mom has a purse and that she carries around everywhere? Yep, I'm one of those moms with a purse too. And this particular mom thought she needed to have her purse. But was it that important to go back inside? No, it wasn't, friends. But she did anyway. She went inside, got the purse, and she got out safely. She was lucky. But while she was standing outside, she thought, "Oh my goodness, honey, I forgot our passports." And again, boys and girls, which was so crazy, she went back inside to get the passports. And she didn't come out. And her husband, he went in looking for her, and then he dragged her out. But that was very dangerous for him as well. That's why it's important, boys and girls. You need to get out and stay out. Now, somebody's asking, what about the babies? Well, babies should never be left inside. What about their kid? They didn't have any kids. It was just the two of them. I'm going to send this over to Alicia and have her give it out to you guys. It is a home escape plan sheet. On the front side, it gives you the instructions here. And on the back side, it gives you a part where you can fill it in of your plan for your home. When you guys are at school, you have a plan. You know how to get out. You know what to do. When the alarm sounds, you guys become very robotic and you start walking to the field. And when you're at the field, your teacher will take attendance, right? Yeah? Yes. It is the law that there has to be a fire drill at least 6 times, I believe, 6 times a year. So when you guys are at school, you know what to do to get out safely. But when you're at home, it is also very, very important that you know what to do to get out safely. Now, that's why I want you to take some time to sit with your family and to do one of these. Draw a map of your home, the bedrooms, the windows. You need at least 2 ways out, the windows, the doors, and a meeting place. The meeting place, boys and girls, is extremely important. The meeting place must be outside your house, the front. Not in the backyard, not the side of the house, not down the street, but close enough to your house that you're safe, but that the fire department can still see you. Now, here's another story. I know I've got many stories. Some years ago, when a fire happened in this home, the mom and dad, of course, took the closest exit along with other family members, the closest exit to get out. They went out the front. The 2 kids that were home at the time, they also took the closest exit and they went outside the back. When the fire department came, the mom and dad said, "Our kids are still inside." But boys and girls, I just told you, those kids were in the backyard. They took the closest exit, they got out the back, and they stayed there. They did not go around to the front to meet their family. So when the fire crews got there and they were told that they were still inside, they went inside to look for them. But they couldn't find them because they were outside. Now, what happened is that the fire crews, they got trapped inside of that home. And another group of firefighters, they were dispatched to help this group of firefighters to get out. Because firefighters are trained not only to help the general public, but also they're trained, excuse me, a little frog is trying to get into my throat, but I'm kicking him out. But they're also trained to help firefighters. So this other crew came and they helped the firefighters come through the window. Now, the reason why the firefighters run into a burning building is because they want to make sure that everybody is out. Now, the reason as well, too, because when they put water onto that fire, the temperature is so hot that you would not be able to survive. So they want to make sure that everybody gets out safely, including your pets. That's why it's important for you to be at the front so you can tell the firefighters that you have pets inside, especially if they're fish, or maybe you might have an iguana, or maybe you might have a snake. Oh boy. But whatever your pet is, you need to be at the front of your house so you can let the firefighters know that they need help. So when you do the plan, boys and girls, you are going to practice it. Mom and dad will decide between mom or dad who is going to go into the room to get your little baby brother or sister out, because they would need help. So that's part of the practicing of the plan, so you know exactly what to do and everybody in your home knows what to do. The plan is important for everybody. You can't be the only one to know the plan. The whole family needs to know the plan. You got to practice the plan. So when you get out safely and you get to the meeting place, there's a special number that you call. Does anyone remember? Can anyone see to the back of me? Let me see, which way is it? Can anyone see? Oh, those numbers over there. What number is that we call? 911. Good job. Now, I know Timon and Pumbaa said in different countries, there's different numbers that you call. But here in North America, we call 911. 911 for police, 911 for fire, and 911 for ambulance. But sometimes we've actually gotten calls from people, little children calling 911 because they wanted to be silly. Yup, they have done that. So we only call 911 only for emergencies. An emergency could be that someone is very, very hurt and they fell and hurt themselves really badly and they need help to move and they need a medical doctor. 911 could be called if your house is on fire. But should 911 be called if you need help with homework? That's a really hard math question. What if 911 will have the answer? Nope. No, not at all. Oh, I know. We're going to call 911 because we ordered pizza and the pizza is late. Is that a good thing to do? No. I have actually heard of little kids calling 911 accidentally. Can I tell you a story? I have 3 sons. And my youngest son, when he was about a year and a half or so, maybe closer to 2, he had my phone in his hand and I didn't realize that he was dialing 911. And he did until I heard, "Hello, how can I help you?" And I picked up the phone and I said, "Hello, I am so sorry. My little boy had the phone in his hand and he called 911. If that accidentally happens, if you accidentally with your phone, sometimes phones, accidents happen with phones. A lot of times they call it, they call it butt dialed or something like that. But if your phone accidentally calls 911, please do not hang up. Stay on the line so that they know that you are safe. But 911 is only for emergencies, not to be silly, not to be over at your friend's house and your friends daring you to call 911. Because we've heard that too. Kids are over at their friend's house and they want to prove themselves. So they say, "Call 911. Let me see if you're brave." It is only for emergencies, boys and girls. Because if you call them and it's not an emergency, then you're taking them away from real emergencies. So 911 is only for police, fire, and ambulance. Now, Sabrina is saying I did that accidentally when I was little. The police did come. Okay, so I'm sure your parents had a lot of explaining to do. But boys and girls, now that you know, you can help in educating other kids about how important that number is. Because somebody, when they need help, that's the number that they call for emergencies, like your house on fire, or somebody's in need of help with the police, or somebody's in need of help with a doctor. So they call the ambulance. The ambulance comes, takes them to the hospital, and then they get help. So you see, boys and girls, how very important that number is. Now, what if you're at the meeting place and you don't have a phone? Oh no, how am I going to call 911? I can't yell 911 and have them come. What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? Well, can I suggest something? Go to your neighbor's house. Go to your neighbor's house. Knock, knock, knock. "Hi, I need to use your phone. I don't have a phone and my house is on fire," or "Somebody's in need of help." But what if that neighbor isn't home? Go to the other neighbor. Knock, knock, knock. And until you find someone at home. Even if it's the adults and they're outside at the meeting place without a phone, go to the neighbor's house until you find a neighbor that's home that will allow you to use the phone. Boys and girls, I know you have learned a whole lot this morning about fire safety. It is so important that we all stay on the same team, the fire safety team. And that's where you guys are now on the same team, fire safety. Because what you have learned today, I'm going to encourage you to share it with your family and friends. Even if it's one thing that you remember, share it. I hope you remember more than one thing because you guys have homework. You've got to check your home to make sure that anything that can burn is away from things that get hot. You also have to go and count how many smoke alarms you have in your home. Hmm? You also have to count the amount of carbon monoxide alarms and look for where it's placed in your home. And you also got to remind adults to stay in the kitchen when they're cooking and do an escape plan, right? So you've got a lot of work to do, but I know you guys are good. You're up to it and you'll get it done because we need your help. Your help can make the difference in how safe your house is because now that you know, you're going to share. So, do anyone have any other questions? You guys have been so amazing in the chat. I love it. Although I can't see any faces, but I can see your chat going on. And I love it because now we can get to interact that way. It's been great. Does anyone have any questions? Other questions, I should say, because you've been asking questions. No? No other questions? Okay, so I am going to send this to Alicia and have her send it out to you guys because it is so important that you have a plan, boys and girls, and that you practice it. Practice makes perfect.
Michelle, we did have one question. What causes fuel?
So fuel is anything that can burn. That's what fuel is. So in the fire triangle is oxygen, heat, and fuel. And fuel is anything that can burn. It could be paper, wood, the carpet, your hair, your clothes, anything that can burn. Oh, one thing I did, two things. Sorry, before we go. If you did get a burn, if you touched something really hot and you got a burn, one of the things I want you to remember to do is to put your hand under cool water. And when you put your hand under cool water, that cools the burn. Now, some people, I remember when I was a little girl, my grandmother always said to me to put butter. And I've heard other little children say, and not only put butter, they put Vaseline, they put milk, and I guess the milk is to cool the burn. I wouldn't want to waste milk that way. I would prefer to use water. But if you want to use milk, by all means. But the reason why we don't put butter or toothpaste on it, it's because we want to cool the burn. And by cooling it, you're cooling the different layers of your skin. So you want to cool the burn. If it is a severe burn, of course, seek medical attention. Now, the other thing, and I have it behind me for this particular reason, if your clothes catch on fire, what is the one thing you should do? You guys should all know this. You stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll. It is not just for kids, adults too. I was watching a show the other day and the guy was on fire for whatever reason. And I thought to myself, why aren't you stopping, dropping, and rolling? But that is what you do. And by the way, that falls in with the fire triangle. Because if you stop, drop, and roll, you're putting the fire out and you're not allowing that fire to get oxygen. But if you start running frantically and scared, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feed the fire air, and that fire will get bigger. So it's so important. If you have a fire on, ever caught fire on your clothes, stop where you are. Drop to the ground. You could drop on the carpet. You can get down on the grass. As long as you get down safely, of course, and you begin to roll back and forth, and then the fire is not going to spread. You will put the fire out.
And we have one more question. How do you know which 911 to call?
Oh, I have never been asked that question. And that is an excellent question. Very good question. So, calling 911 is a central number. So, when you call 911, they will then immediately ask you, do you want police, fire, or ambulance? So, it's the same number for all three. And when you call it, they will ask you that question. Then you can say, oh, my house is on fire. Then they'll know to send the fire department out. Or my grandma fell and hurt herself and she needs help. Then what will happen, boys and girls? The fire department will come out as well as the ambulance. And if it's something that the police needs to be there, then they'll send the police out. So they, from your answer to their question, they will know, should we send the police, the fire department, ambulance, or maybe fire and ambulance.
And if you live outside of Canada or visiting Canada, how do you find the emergency number?
So different countries have their own way of letting you know what their emergency number is. But in Canada, I guess it's all over the internet that you'll be able to Google what is the emergency number. And I'm sure I've never Googled it, but because I grew up knowing it, but I'm sure if you were to Google Canada's emergency number, I'm sure 911 will come up.
Great. So, one of our friends here says, I learned that if you're in a different country and you don't know the emergency number, just put in 122 and it will connect to the closest telephone pole.
Oh, interesting.
So, we can't
I
confirm
know
that, but
that is a that's very interesting. Now I know we have 211. 211 is also, and even 311. I'm sure if you call those two numbers, besides Googling, because it just came back to me as they said that, they would be able to let you know what the emergency number is. So 211, 311, they can tell you it's 911.
great. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I think we could keep going on and on and on. There's so much to learn. I learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone at home did too. I need to keep telling my husband to stop charging his phone under his pillow at night. I know.
You know what? I got to tell you that in spite of the fact that I have been an education officer for the last 12 years and been in the fire department for 25 years, I still have people in my house that I still have to go and tell them, make sure you stay in the kitchen or don't charge your phone that way. I still have to do that. In spite of the fact that I live with them, with these folks, I still have to remind them about the importance of fire safety because, boys and girls, it can happen to anyone at any time when you least expect. So that's why it's so important for you to practice it.
So I hope you can all join us tomorrow for our final session of the week with a fantastic magic show. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope I'll see you all tomorrow. And so be safe. And I hope everyone has a great day. Bye now.
Bye bye. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Bye bye.
We just give it 1 second. There's just a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
So we'll stop the broadcasting.